There are those who speak and those who listen. But every so often, someone shows up who does both with uncommon purpose and an open notebook in hand. Nicole Banks is a power connector, a woman whose network doesn't just span industries, it sparks movements. For more than 2 decades, she's solved problems others run from, built what others said couldn't be done, and highlighted the wisdom of giants, one page at a time. This is Nicole's Business Notebook, a curated circle of brilliance, a behind-the-scenes pass to the strategies, stories, and secrets shared by the experts she calls friends. It's not just a show, it's a blueprint for those bold enough to build. So settle in, because the notebook is open.
Hi, this is Nicole Banks with Nicole's Business Notebook. We are here with Ed Zuniga this week. He has a wide variety of life experience that has led him from Guatemala all the way to politics, and a really interesting, unique story. So we're going to delve into the details, the inspiration, and what potentially entrepreneurs could learn from politicians. Thanks, Ed, so much for being here.
Thank you, Nicole. It's been a pleasure having you as a friend and as a business connection. Thanks for all the things that you have been teaching us, and during a short period of time, we learn a lot and how to connect with some others. Because it's not easy when gonna interact with the people that you never met before, and but with the process our experience with you is something totally different, and now I'm glad to be part of your group too.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, with intentional speed networking, we really try and focus on building those connections that can lead to better business. And I know I do it in a unique way, so I appreciate the shout out. So, all right. So beginning all the years back in Guatemala, can you tell us a little bit about the origin story?
Yes. I born in city of Guatemala, which is Roosevelt Hospital, and when I was 9 months old, my mother decided to go and live in Puerto Barrios, which is 5 hours away from the city, the main city. So I grew up there, where all the bananas that we eat in United States, pretty much 60-70% is from that area, which is Chiquita Banana and Del Monte.
Yep.
So you see some with the same seal like pineapples, and but it's mainly from that area because the land is very rich. You don't have to put anything into the soil, because the soil is basically very good for any plants, and because we have 2 oceans there. But mainly, I see that something wasn't good in my area, and I said I need to definitely start doing different things.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have no TV, and the only thing I remember, my mom bought me a headphones, and I want to get more signal, so I go up on the roof and try to get some signal from Miami, and I was very curious guy. I was breaking down the radios of my grandmother, just to take out the magnets and start doing some tricks with the other kids, and
That's cool.
But then I start looking a lot of necessities in my house, and I start working packing bread after I finish my school, and every day I come back to my house with a big bag of bread, and then I was able to experience a politic event. That was my first one. I was like 9-year-old, and then I went to school. I graduated from college, and I decided to go to the main city, back to the main city where I born, right? And then I study electronic over there and microprocessings. Then my one of my cousins said, "Well, there is an opportunity to get a visa through soccer player team." And I said, "Well, I'm open,
Amazing.
And this is how I came to United States in 1998 with the soccer player team, and here I am.
That's amazing.
Right? But I always in my mind said, like, I want to do my own thing, So I was working and studying to build new computers back then, and then I was able to get my CDL, commercial CDL.
Yep.
So I just worked for a year as a truck driver, and then I become a truck owner,
Oh,
right?
yep. That's where the money is.
Is where the money is. So at age of 21, I was making 100 grand a year, 130, which is
A lot of money back then.
oh, and then 9/11 came,
Yes.
and everything starts changing in the United States. Back then, I was going to a church in Los Angeles, and my pastor decided to bring a guy from Guatemala who was running for a president. And he was one of the main guys for the church, his name is Harold Caballeros. Very well-known guy. He wrote books. He set up around 40 churches around,
Wow.
the other nations. And so I learned a lot because I was assigned to assist him for like 7 days.
Oh, wow.
And this is how I didn't, like sitting down next to a guy who was running for a president. You said like, this is something else, what God wants
Yeah.
to do in my life. So then we decided just to move to Arizona and start working for property preservation. I left the trucking business and I started doing property preservation in Arizona,
Oh, yep.
right? Working for 50 different banks. And then back then I was having from 2010 to 2014, I worked through mortgage contracting services. I was the top 5 contractor in the whole nation.
Heck yeah.
I did work that really, really special work for the banks.
Yep.
Cash for keys, eviction, inspection, lock services, we change all the locks on the entire property. And but I was able to work doing projects like for Edwards Air Force Base. We designed the logo for the F-35 on epoxy on the ground,
Wow.
on 100,000 square foot warehouses. So then we did San Diego Navy, we did San Juan Capistrano, and then I set up a solar company, which is I still have my solar company open. We were able to do quotes for Portland's
Yep.
international and national. Now we are working into solar farms to
Oh, yeah.
mix with hydroponics and micro sprouts with
Oh,
your
really?
girlfriend,
Yep.
your good friend Michael Gray.
Yep.
And well, this is something else that we start doing after I see that my solar business start going down through COVID. It's when I start saying like, this is not correct. Plus, I start identifying some stuff in my family with my kids, which is it's about the school agendas, And I said like, well, this is not the education I give to my kids, And I believe that the kids are being brainwashing, and I said I need to get more involved because for our generations, and I started hearing things. I definitely didn't like what happens with COVID, and especially with the churches, that was forced to being closing down. And I think this is a topic that everyone that is in politics can tell you about, because it's control mind, right? And this is when I started getting involved with politics. But I knew that the seal was from when I was little. That was my first campaign,
Yeah.
and then the second one with this guy in Los Angeles. And I knew that I have a call to do things. So last year, through the politics, I was able to endorse over 35 candidates, including senators, Congress,
That's
and
amazing.
some mayors and attorney generals, and and doing a lot of march for the school agendas. Basically, it was very focused on that too. and helping Moms for America, which is some part of another 40 different grassroots organizations.
Wow.
And we all look for our backs and for what is the new policies coming to the state, and not only local but national. And this is how I started getting involved in politics, you know.
I love
But
that.
always my dream was doing a very cool businesses, which is always looking the high rise. And I said one day I'm gonna be one of them.
100%.
And the last thing I know, now we are part of some, you know, verticals
Some big
developments.
projects, yeah.
Yeah, big
Amazing.
projects that later on I'm not allowed because we have NDAs and all
Of
that,
course.
you know,
Of course.
confidential agreements and
But
in
definitely
process.
doing huge things in the
Oh, yeah.
valley and beyond. You know, I think it's really inspiring that you know, found something that you wanted to change and that you got involved. So, you know, for entrepreneurs, obviously there's a lot of different things and topics that they can be passionate about. How was it for you to get involved after being an entrepreneur into politics, and what recommendations would you give to others who might feel called?
Basically, that's another topic when I realized that my business was completely screwed down for, you know, other big entities, and we didn't have the chance to make the business grow. Instead, we have a lot of different policies right now involved that, you know, the big corporations are,
Lobbying for.
yeah, lobbying and forcing through make it happen, you know, so the little guys cannot grow. And I said, well, we need to have conversations with Arizona Corporation and Commission, because they are the one, you know, regulates, you know, rates and
Yep.
and open the doors for new policies, and the only way you can fight this battle is from inside.
Correct.
You know, doing protesting and all that. I'm not part of those deals, you know,
Initiatives, yeah.
because you definitely negotiate from the main table, you know, not from outside.
I love that.
Understanding the importance to make the change for the small businesses, you know.
So, do you think that you being an immigrant gives you a different perspective in U.S. politics?
I will say grassroots is international, and that's some things that you know, many people don't understand, that it's not about one race. It's about the law, you know. And if anyone in the United States break the law, it's gonna have consequences, you know, because definitely we need to be aligned with the law and respect the law. Basically, United States suffer a lot. In Latin America, this is the same. And basically, they are adopting. I just see one of my friends through the camera, Joviel Acevedo. He's in Guatemala. That guy can stop the whole city with 500,000 people, you know, marching, which is he is involved with the education. And the best thing to see the education is that it has to be aligned with God principles, you know, in order to have better results and better population.
Right.
But with all this twist that has been like, you know, disseminating into the schools and the school programs and the education
Yeah.
is basically not good. So my friend was in a conference the other day saying that they want the education aligned with God principles, which is, you know, is where we all we come from, you know.
Yeah.
I remember my grandmother praying every morning,
Yep.
you know, so we can all can receive God's blessings, you know.
I love that. So, you know, as someone who's religious, you know, in politics and entrepreneurship, how do you kind of balance those two things?
You know, the way we balance everything is putting our foot on the ground, you know, and realize that everything is related,
Yep.
but not everything is. It has to be a good balance in it, because other than that, you know, it can be turned into a very religious side, and we're not gonna do anything, you know,
Right.
with that. But when we have balance, we are able to understand, you know, different parts.
Yep.
Of course, it has to be good opinions, you know, in order to align with
Yeah.
the principles, right? And the Latino community needs to be educated how the Constitution was written, and I always carry on with me copies of the Constitution in Spanish and English because many of our community don't speak English. And if you can tell, my accent is a little different than everybody, because I'm not perfect. It's not my perfect language, but
I think you do great.
I'm trying to do the best.
No, and that's all you can do is your best. And I love that answer about balancing and finding that grace and, the ethics of working together. And, I love that you have the Constitution in Spanish too. I think that's really inspiring. My mother-in-law, speaks mostly Spanish and that whole thing. And there's a lot of education disparities. So, I see that personally in my family. So the fact that you are advocating for educating the community, I think is invaluable.
Oh, definitely. We're going to start doing more great things. I'm a state director with Latinos United for Conservative Action still until, they let me stay because it's a position where, anybody else can take away my position.
Right.
So, but I've been, I did the right thing. I believe, not because I'm saying, it's because we have many different positions into the state during the elections. And now we are able to see some results. I'm not happy with everything what happens, because at the end of the day, we have our own opinion, and our speech matter,
Yeah, I love that.
And the good thing, we still have the freedom of speech, which is one of the principles.
No, 100%.
Into the Constitution.
So this podcast is mostly for entrepreneurs. You're obviously an entrepreneur, but you're kind of in politics. So if you could say one thing that entrepreneurs could learn from politicians, I know that's a stretch, but what do you think is one thing that we could learn from politicians to be better entrepreneurs?
One of the things that can make the difference is always be transparent, and one of the things that it makes me, still, stepping up here is because I'm very persistent, and it's not about the money, it's about the service we are providing to our clients.
Yep.
And when you see a happy client and they come and treat you as a family, that's when things start happening.
I love that. I think that's great wisdom.
Yeah. Relationships.
Yep, it's all about it and what we're doing and the whole bit. So, obviously you're doing a ton in the community, and really kind of focusing on helping others and building those relationships and support. What I'll say, anybody that is in the greater Phoenix area that needs to know more people, to connect with more people, Eddie is great about making those connections, leading with authenticity, and making sure that people do the right kind of business. So thank you, Eddie, so much for coming on the show, telling us a bit more about your story, politics, entrepreneurship, all the stuff that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nicole, to have me here. And just be consistent and be persistent. That's no matter how hard it is, when you say, no, I can't do it, it's fine, because sometimes there is nothing to do. But I always have an answer for the clients.
Yep.
I said, if you give me more time, I can find a solution for you. But if this is the end, this is the end. We got to be realistic,
I love that.
Yeah.
If there's a way, there's a way. You know what I mean? If you can find that. So I love that.
Yes.
So this is another episode of Nicole's Business Notebook, where we're bringing together my business friends from my network to help us to do all better business together. Obviously new with a politician in the mix, supporter and the whole bit. So, definitely trying to do better business intentionally together. Thanks so much. And this is another episode of Nicole's Business Notebook. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Nicole's Business Notebook. Subscribe and follow for more tips, insider secrets, and hard-earned wisdom so that we can all do better business together. See you next time.